Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of A Gardener's Journey Homestead. I am Barbara. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today I am excited because we're going to talk about my fall crop plan. It's been on the list to do, but today was the day I had time to do it. So for those that are brand new to me, I am in zone 7A. I'm in the state of Tennessee, and I'm excited to start the fall plan. I've already started, but I'm excited to get some things on paper and to see kind of where things are going to be laid out. I did do a video. It's probably been a month or so ago now. I'll try to remember and link it up here, where I talked about why you should garden in the fall and was telling you about my plan theoretically of what I was going to be doing for the fall. But today is where it gets on paper and I lay out what's going to be where and all that. So I wanted to talk through that with you. Also talk with you on some of the changes that I've made since that video, some more definitive things about what I'm gonna do and what I'm not gonna do. So if you are good with that, let's jump into it. So before I tell you about my plan, if you are a new gardener, if this was your first summer gardening and you've said, I am tired, I do not wanna do a fall garden, I'm gonna encourage you to try anyway. Because fall is one of the easiest times to grow. Less pest pressure, slower pace, better temperatures. Now, depending on where you live is going to determine what you can grow and how long you can grow it, right? So really when I'm saying fall, for me, it's really my fall winter garden. I have a high tunnel, so I have protection, right? So I can grow all year round, right? So if that's not your case, then you have to look for varieties in your area that's going to be, you know, if you're trying to grow throughout the winter, depending on what your winters are and how harsh they are, you're going to have to find plants that are frost tolerant. Note the difference between frost tolerant versus frost hardy. I won't get into that today, and maybe I'll do a separate video about that if you guys are interested in terms of what you can grow, you know, past the fall into the winter. And again, I can talk a lot about the zone that I'm in, but obviously there's people who watch me that are in various different climates and zones. I can give you a general overview of what to look for and the terms and stuff like that, but I wouldn't know specifically like, okay, your city, your state, you can grow this, right? But if you guys are interested in that, let me know and I'm happy to do a video on that. So I'm excited and I'm semi-ready for fall. Like I'm not 100% ready to let the summer go, but I'm about 85. I'm about 75%. Y'all, the heat is brutal. If the heat wasn't that brutal, I could probably still hang on to the summer garden, right? Because who doesn't want, you know, one more tomato? Who doesn't want some more squash, right? And maybe because my squash hadn't done good this year and I have my last succession of squash in the ground now, and I'm hoping that it does something. So I'm teeter-tottering between, I still want a little bit of summer, but I am excited about what fall brings, which is number one, cooler temperatures, right? So let me just level set for those that are new to me in terms of the spacing that I have available to grow. And that's gonna kind of dovetail into some decisions I've made about where I'm gonna grow. So on our property, we have 5 raised beds behind our house, and that's where our garden started. We also have a high tunnel that's 30 by 96. So it is, you know, we can grow in that all year round. And then we also have an in-ground outside garden that's about 4,000 square feet of space, right? So we have 3 spaces that we can grow food in. And again, when I say all year round, we can grow outside in those raised beds and in ground in the garden, but it has, of course, it's gonna have to be covered at certain parts of the year, right? Our winters are typically pretty mild, so we can get away with some, you know, layers of row cover and things like that. And last year I did grow in all 3 spaces, or I attempted to grow in all 3 spaces. Last year we had a harsh spell in our winter where I want to say it was like the last couple of weeks of December, temperatures were consistently like 1 degree, 2 degrees, 3 degrees. Like it was really, which is not typical for us, but that's what happened. And so I ended up losing the things that were outside in my raised beds. And I ended up losing the stuff in my garden, but that was because of like pest pressure and things like that. So yeah, again, but that's not typical, but that is what happened last year. So I was torn around with the idea of, I've always planted in the back of my house because it's easy access. I can go out there and grab lettuce, I can go grab kale and do all those things, right? And I had kind of decided I wasn't gonna do the in-ground garden in the fall. So let me tell you what I've officially decided. Like, this is official. You can take it to the bank, you can put a stamp on it. Like, this is what we're doing. So I am only gonna grow in my high tunnel this fall and winter. That's it. Now, you may be going on to the next sentence and be like, well, that's not a big deal. It's a big deal to me because I like to do all the things, right? But I had to be realistic. And right now, I need a little bit of a break, right? It has been extremely crazy busy. My life is crazy busy. And I just don't need to manage all three things, right? Especially now that it's gonna be cooler and the pace is gonna be a lot slower. Girl, give yourself a break, right? And I had to give myself permission to give myself a bit of a break. So I'm not gonna grow anywhere else except my high tunnel, with the exception of my garlic. My garlic will be, well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Okay, so I'm definitely not gonna grow in the garden outside by my high tunnel, the 4,000 square feet. Like, I'm not growing in there, period, end of discussion. Like, I've decided that. In the back of my house, I have 5 raised beds. I've always grown my garlic in the back of my house, and I will do that, right? That's easy. That's like a set it and forget it. And so we will do that. And my garlic is already ordered, and hopefully it will be here in October. Because I want to actually plant it in October this year and not in November. So that's what I'm hoping. So the garlic will be behind my house. I have 5 raised beds behind my house. Last year I did 2. The first year I did 1 bed of garlic. Last year I did 2 beds of garlic. This year I'm going to do 2 beds of garlic, maybe 3. And then my other raised beds, I am going to, I think, maybe plant flowers and just do like pansies and mums and things like that. And that's just for beauty, because where I am right now in my sunroom, behind the camera, I'm looking out behind my house in the 5 raised beds. And I just want it to be aesthetically pleasing and pretty. So I thought that would be nice that I could be in my sunroom in the cold winter with my cup of cocoa or whatever, look outside and see pretty, colorful flowers. That is my goal. But that's like plan B. If I don't get to it, then we're just gonna mulch them, let them rest, and we'll plant the garlic in the 2 beds, and the other 3 will just be at rest, okay? So don't hold me to it, but that's what I wanna do, okay? But let's jump into the meat of it, which is the tunnel. So when I thought about I'm only gonna plant in the tunnel, I'm thinking I'm not gonna have enough space to do all the things that I wanna do, blah, 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 blah. For those who've been following me, you know that we attempted, or did for the first time this summer, is we sold some of our produce. It was not a hard, hey, let's go to farmers markets and all that. It was just, we have a website, we announced it online, and people have been buying, right? So it's not anything that we have been pushing like, at every farmer's market, because we don't have the time for that. So in my mind, it was just gonna be for the summer, but I think I'm gonna continue it for the fall, and we'll see how it goes. I don't know if people in this area, like kale and all that stuff. We're gonna see. If not, we're gonna eat it. So what I always do is I have a make sure I have it the right way so that you can see it. So I have this like on the computer, and it's all like nice and neat, like, in a drawing. But I always start on paper first, and then I type into the computer, then I just print it out. But this is basically what my tunnel looks like, right? So for those that have seen it, on camera, that I have 6 raised beds. I have 3 on the left, 3 on the right. That's what these beds represent. And then in ground in my tunnel, I have 3 rows here, an aisle, and then 2 rows there, right? Those rows are about 40 feet. And the spacing that we have down is 18 inches. So I don't remember the math, but I think I can get like 25 or 30 some plants in these rows, right? here is, let me jump to the end of the story. The end of the story is, y'all, when I started doing this and figuring out what I wanted to grow, I have plenty of space. I have plenty of space. Like, I still have open spaces on here that I don't know what I'm going to do with. And that's the, whatchamacallit, the first drawing. This is it. Oh, I do have it. So this is where I drew it out on paper. And then this is what it looks like on the computer when you, and I wrote it in, but then I got to type it in. But that's what it looks like. Same setup. These two things here, I have two circular metal raised beds, like the Vigo garden beds here that I usually put like herbs in the summer, and then I'll do flowers in for the winter. So that's what those two circles represent. So in terms of what I'm growing, I'm only growing 10 things this fall. And I only say 10 because I have narrowed down what I'm growing and what I'm not growing, okay? And that was another big decision for me. So for those that are new, this is my 3rd year gardening, and I have grown a lot of stuff, trying it out. What can I grow? Let me see if I, stuff that I haven't eaten before. Let me see if I like it. And so now we got some things like, okay, I like it, I don't like it, or whatever. So not that I won't continue to grow all the things and grow new stuff, but I have identified some stuff I'm not gonna grow that I have done in the past, okay? So, what y'all wanna know first, what I'm growing or what I'm not growing? Let's talk about what I'm growing. So the 10 things that I am growing are carrots, and I'm really excited because I wanna have a successful carrot harvest this fall. It is one of my top goals. So I'm growing carrots because I have not been as great with the carrots. I'm doing collard greens. I'm doing broccoli, kale, cabbage, bok choy, spinach, lettuce, cilantro, and garlic. So there's like, cilantro will be the only herb type thing that I'm growing. And let me know if you're in my zone, if there's some other herbs that you grow in the fall. Now, I know that there's some herbs that in our zone can overwinter, so to speak. I think rosemary is one. When I say overwinter, meaning they can take it, they'll make it in a tunnel or a greenhouse. But let me know if there's other herbs. I think sage may be one of them, but I'm not for sure. But let me know if there's other herbs that are frost tolerant, so to speak. Because if I'm growing it, I can just keep it in there. But those are the 10 things that I'm growing. That's it. Let me tell you what I took off the list. Here are the 5 things I took off the list that I have done in the past that I'm not doing this year. Cauliflower, I'm not doing. And here's the reason why I'm not doing cauliflower. One, because I should have already started my cauliflower because it usually has a long maturity date or whatever for the kinds that I've done before. So I should have already started it, and I haven't. And not that I don't have time to still get a harvest because I'm going throughout the winter, but you grow it, you get one head on a thing. I don't know if in my mind, it may not have been worth the space, but now that I say I got some open spaces, I don't know. I might be persuaded. If you think I really need to grow it, let me know. But because I like cauliflower and we love it roasted and, and all that good stuff, but it didn't make the list. And then buying a start, like we went through that last year. Like I did not grow it successfully from seed before. I did grow it successfully. Last year was the first time, but before that I hadn't. And remember I went and bought those starts and I'm like, I cannot pay $6 for one start that's gonna produce one head. I'll pay $6 for a plant that's gonna produce over and over and over, but I'm not doing that for one head of cauliflower. So cauliflower's off the list. Swiss chard I took off the list because y'all, it is pretty. And it'll be interesting to see if some of my customers mention it, right? It's pretty, and I like to see it in the garden because of those the rainbow lights chart. But y'all, I don't like the way it tastes. It tastes like earth, dirt. Now don't get mad at me if you love it, but I don't like it. And I just had to say, I don't like it. It just don't taste good to me. So I'm not gonna grow it. The third thing I'm not growing are beets. I have not been successful with beets. I've tried it every single year. And just like last year, I got nothing. The year before that, 1 or 2, they're like this. The only exception is that there's these beets that I am waiting on that's been out of stock like pretty much all year that I have heard about, that if I get the notification that they're in, I am gonna buy them, I am gonna plant them just because I hear these are the best beets ever. And if you don't like beets, you'll like these. But other than that, I'm not planting beets. And again, I keep telling myself I'm growing because I don't like beets. I've heard that you'll like them roasted. You know, I like the golden ones raw in a salad. I can tolerate it, but I don't like cooked beets. I've heard that if you roast them, they taste better, but I hadn't gotten to roasting yet because I can't grow them. I haven't been able to grow them. So I'm just like, I'm not even dedicating space and mental brain power to that. And then I tell myself, if I have beets, I'll make beet powder. I just gotta be realistic. Not in the season in my life. Too busy. Okay, the next thing I'm not growing that I put on here is Brussels sprouts. I love Brussels sprouts. I like Brussels sprouts. I don't love them. They're not my top. But I do like Brussels sprouts a lot. They have a long maturity date. I should have already started those. I didn't. And I've been semi-successful. Like, I have not been successful to the fact that I have anything to put in my freezer. I have been successful, like I grew some and we ate off of it twice. I mean, it's success, but it's not the success that I would call success. So I'm like, I'm not doing it. And then radish. Radish was on my list. I don't like radish. Again, I've heard that if you do it a certain way, grill it, roast it, that it takes on a different note. The reason why I don't like radish is the bite. I don't like that spicy bite. Like, I don't like arugula, I don't like ginger, and I don't like radish. They all have that bite in the back. I've heard that different radishes are more mild. And so I was willing to try it, and I was like, if I have space. So radish is like it's a no, but y'all tell me if it needs to be a yes. Tell me if it needs to be a yes. So that's 5 things I took off the list. So here's the point, is that 2 years ago, I did all 15 of those things. This year, I'm doing 10 and I took off 5. Why? Because I've experimented, I've explored, I know what I can grow, what I can't grow, and I know what I like and what I don't like. And I want you to give yourself permission as a gardener to have that ebb and flow, change your mind. Why? Because it's your garden, right? And I also want to encourage you to grow the things that you know that you're going to eat, that your family likes to eat. And it's okay to grow something that if you don't know, like I grew Swiss chard. I didn't grow up eating Swiss chard. I didn't even know what Swiss chard was, right? They don't have that in the projects, okay? But I tried it. I love the way it looks in the garden. It is beautiful, but I don't like the way it tastes at all. So I'm not going to grow it. So be okay with that, right? You don't have to do all the things. And then also in this season, I mean, I'm the kind of person, I do the most. I do. I like to do all the things. But in this season of my life where it's extremely busy and I'm spread very, very thin, and the garden is my happy place, I don't want the garden to come from being my happy place to a place of drudgery because it's so much and I cannot keep up, right? In the summer, that's a little bit to be expected, but let's not go into the fall, putting on extra pressure. And once I laid up my plan, y'all, I don't need it. I don't have to. So why do it, right? So that's just kind of where I am in this season for the fall and the winter, okay? So I want to say, if you're feeling that way, give yourself permission to do what is best for you for your goals, okay? So let's talk about where things are gonna go. So what I've decided and what I'm trying to play around with is, remember my tunnel is still full of summer stuff. And so I've laid out where stuff is gonna go because I've already started some seeds, but I have to think about what is gonna be pulled up first, so to speak, or gonna be done. And then what am I willing to make done that may not be done, right? Because you get to that point in the season where you have to make some decisions of something is still producing really well, but if you need the space, you have to go ahead and pull it. I hate making those decisions because it feels really bad to take away something that is doing really, really well to put something else in its place. But you have to do it if you want the fall crop, right? So one of the first things I thought about, so the first raised bed when you come into my tunnel on the left, right now there's lettuce in there and it's gonna continue to be lettuce, right? I don't know if you can see that, but that's gonna be my lettuce and I'm gonna put cilantro in there as well. The bed next to it right now is where I have my sweet potatoes. My sweet potatoes should be ready in the next couple of weeks, right? And so I know that, and when those come out, I will be able to put my other stuff in. So in that bed, I'm doing spinach and broccoli. Okay, so I've started my spinach and broccoli seeds. I need to start some more, but if I anticipate that my sweet potatoes will be done in a couple of weeks, then I know in 3 weeks they'll be ready to go in the ground and transplant. Okay, so that's kind of how I came up with that. The third raised bed beside it is blank right now. I don't have anything yet going in that bed. Right now in that bed is green beans. And so we're gonna let them hang out for a little while longer, and we'll see what happens. Now moving across the aisle on the right-hand side in my raised beds, that first bed right now I have are a whole bunch of peppers. I don't have anything right now to put in its place. So I'm gonna let those hang out for a little while, as long as we can. But then the bed next to it right now is pretty much empty. I have some celery in there, and I have a couple of heads of lettuce. I'm gonna take those lettuces, move them to the other lettuce bed, and then I'm gonna pull the celery. That bed will be empty, and that's where I'm gonna put my carrots. I'm gonna be direct sowing my carrots next week, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and get the carrots started, and that whole bed is going to be carrots. Give me all your good tips on growing carrots, please, and thank you. Then the bed right next to it is gonna be bok choy and cabbage. So that's kind of how those beds are laid out. And then inside the tunnel in ground, those 5 rows, I'm gonna have 2 rows of collard greens. It's gonna be on the right-hand side because normally I do it on the left-hand side. So we're doing some rotation and putting the collard greens on the right-hand side. Right now, y'all, that's where my tomatoes are. My tomatoes on row number 4 is about done. Like, they are ending their life cycle. In row 5 is where I planted the last succession of tomatoes. They're just getting going. So I'll definitely do collard greens that I've already started seedlings in row 4. And then I'll do a second succession of collard greens in row 5. But I'm gonna give them tomatoes a little bit more time to see if they're gonna do something. Does that make sense? So you see, I'm thinking about what I have, how soon will it be ready? And I wanna pull the things that are doing well at the last minute. Like, I don't wanna pull that and I could have had 2 more weeks of it when I got this empty bed here that I can go ahead and plant in it now. That's how I'm thinking about it. So I'll have 2 rows of collard greens. I'm gonna have a row of kale. So this is a 40-foot row. And then I'll have a row of cabbage and broccoli. So I'll be growing cabbage and broccoli in the raised bed as well as in the ground. And then I have a whole nother row that has nothing designated for it. So basically, y'all, I have 2 raised beds right now that I don't have anything marked in them. And then I have a whole row I don't have anything marked in. Now look at that. So I can plant more of the same, or I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do. But my point is that I was surprised. I'm like, oh, I got space left, right? I got space left. So that's kind of what it looks like if you can see it. This bed right here is empty. This bed is empty. And then this row right here is empty. So that's the fall crop plan. So will I put some stuff in the stuff that's empty? I will. I absolutely will. I've thought about, last year, I overwintered snapdragons, the flower. Those turned out beautiful. So I may do a bed of those and see. I don't know if I want to devote a whole bed to it. The point is that the snapdragons I love, but you know, as soon as, you know, they get cranking, they're going to have a short life before I'm going to want to pull them out and get my summer stuff in. So we'll see how that goes. So all the stuff that I want to grow has a place, and I still have some extra space left over to put some more stuff. So that is the plan. Now, y'all give me some tips, comments. If there's something you think I should grow that I didn't mention, put it down below. If you have other ideas, other varieties, I would love to know. Put them down below. But y'all, that's it. I'm excited about the fall crop plan. Thank you guys so much for going on the journey with me today and figuring out what we're gonna do and how we're gonna do it. And I'm excited that I've let go of trying to do it behind my house and do the in-ground space and all that. We're just gonna focus on the high tunnel. And the thing about the high tunnel, I'm blessed to have it, is that it has protection, right? So it's covered. It's a lot easier to manage. I can go to one place and be done. One place and be done, and not have to worry about all the elements and all that. Now, when it got like 1 and 2 degrees, we did have to do extra stuff and extra row covers, even inside the tunnel, because it just got that cold. But I tell you what, my stuff didn't die. My stuff still survived. It survived. I had people asking me like, what did you do? How did you do that? Nothing but the blessings of the Lord, okay? So anyway, I hope that you guys are gearing up for fall. If you're gonna do a fall garden, let me know how your plans are coming. Let me know if you already got something in the ground. I would love to know, and I'll just keep taking you on the journey with me. Remember, gardening is a journey. Let's grow together. I'll see you next time.